Hey, what up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. So who's to blame for Max Scherzer's dead arm in the 2021 postseason? We're going to get into that in just a second. But quick reminder for all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. Really helps out the channel. And as always, some of your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. 1, what's your reaction to Max Scherzer's comments to the LA Times? 2, who do you think deserves more of the blame for him having dead arm in the 2021 postseason? And 3, how big of an impact do you think it had on him not re-signing with the Dodgers? I'm with your takes down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So Max Scherzer set the record straight. In an exclusive interview with Jorge Castillo of the LA Times, he talked about his dead arm issues that he experienced in the 2021 postseason that forced him to miss Game 6 of the NLCS. And of course, he would ultimately sign with the New York Mets, setting a new record for AAV at $43.3 million per season, signed a 3-year, $130 million contract. And at his Zoom press conference for the New York Mets, it sounded like he was throwing the Dodgers under the bus. That was the perception around social media. People are saying that Max Scherzer was blaming the Dodgers for his dead arm issues. He said his arm was compromised and he didn't like how he was being utilized as far as the 6-day rotation, getting additional time off, having shorter starts, lower pitch counts at times. Well, if you look at in 2021 with the Los Angeles Dodgers, he ends up making 11 starts in the regular season. He was fantastic, 1.98 ERA, and he averaged 94 pitches in 30 starts for the Nationals and the Dodgers. He had 296 pitches across 16 2/3 innings in 4 postseason games in a 12-day stretch. And I did another video about this whole topic where we did a deep dive into Max Scherzer's time with the Dodgers and how one of his starts was compromised because of a rain delay in Philadelphia. So had he made his normal start, he would have probably gotten closer to 100. But I digress on that one. If you want to check out that video on Max Scherzer, a little more of a deep dive into his time with the Dodgers and his pitch count and how the Dodgers used him, I'll throw the link into the description. But before we get into his comments to the LA Times, let's do a little rewind. Here's a clip from Max Scherzer's introductory press conference with the New York Mets where he talks about how he was compromised with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then we'll check out those comments to the LA Times. You don't want to miss that.
How I reflect upon the Game 5 and how I was used. And my conversations with Doc and Freeman, that I had done that in 2019 in the World Series run. And I pitched a wild card game, had made a relief appearance, made a couple more starts, and was able to do that. I thought I was in the same position to be able to do that here in 2021. I just thought, reflecting upon that, in Washington, I was asked to pitch on the 5-day and pitch 100, 110 pitches consistently. I was stepped on all the time, and I loved it. Like I was built up to a much higher kind of work capacity in DC. So when I got asked to do that, I felt like my arm could respond to that. And rightfully so with the Dodgers, there was major concern to protect Walker and Julio's innings. And I 100% support that. We made decisions to give extra days out on a consistent basis and watch our pitch counts for the postseason. I just feel like that lowered my work capacity so that when I tried to do the 2019 formula of being able to pitch out of the pen, my arm wasn't able to respond to that because I came from a lower pitch count.
So now that you've seen that clip, let's hear what Max Scherzer had to say in an exclusive interview with Jorge Castillo of the LA Times, where he responds to fans out there and people that are saying that he was blaming the Dodgers for him having dead arm in the 2021 postseason. Here were Max's comments to the LA Times. I don't blame the Dodgers. Maybe I didn't make myself clear enough in what I was actually talking about. For me, looking at how the postseason was unfolding, it looks eerily similar to what the 2019 run was for me. I was pitching the wild card game and getting into the division series, making a relief appearance, and then pitching in the NLCS as well. For me, there was a 4-start run there from the wild card start, and this is 2019, from the wild card start to the relief appearance, then 2 days later making a start against the Dodgers, throwing 110 pitches in that start, and then continuing to start Game 2 2 against the Cardinals. That was a heavy workload for me in 2019, but I was able to do it. And so as the playoffs started after the wild card game, that's when I was talking to Doc about, hey, look, I have experience doing this. I understand how this postseason works. If I do get a relief appearance, you can use me out of the pen. When I think about the 2021 run, and this is the point I was trying to make at the press conference, was that, and rightfully so, the Dodgers did the right thing protecting Walker and Julio and pitching us on the 6th day, giving us extra rest more often than not. And for me, that was the most I'd ever pitched on the 6-day rotation, and only throwing 90 to 100 pitches. In my head, that actually lowered my work capacity of what I was actually able to do on a day-to-day basis. So when I went into that postseason, I came from a lower work capacity to when I tried to do what I did in 2019. That was just too big of a jump. Scherzer would go on to say, we never took that variable into consideration. I've never had that variable taken into consideration. And so, like I said, I bear more brunt of that because of me having those discussions with Dave about that and how I can be used in the postseason, and coming up short on that on my end of saying I could do something and then it didn't happen. And that's where no one's to blame. No one's at fault. It's just you learn from this. It's something that happens. If I pitch in that game, I blow out, I could be out for a year and jeopardize my career. It wasn't about a contract situation. It's literally my arm's health. When you can't throw, you can't throw. And then finally, Scherzer said, I needed time, and you don't have time in the playoffs, and so every day mattered in that point in time. So getting pushed back to Game 7, I would have been able to take the ball. Like I said, I don't know how much I would have been able to give, but I would have been in a much better position than throwing in Game 6. Throwing in Game 6, I would have been rolling the dice on sustaining a substantial injury. There's no ifs or buts about that. For Dodger fans to get upset with me, for me to get dead arm like that, hey, that's fair game. Look, you play with LA, you're here to win the World Series. Wow, so lots of interesting stuff there about Max Scherzer's time with the Dodgers. And after that interview dropped, Dodger insider Dave Vassegh, he tweeted out, it's interesting how Max Scherzer won't acknowledge his tender right hamstring being a substantial reason why Dodgers were so cautious with him down the stretch of the regular season. So he doesn't mention that. He just mentions his arm, and we know that Scherzer dealt with some issues with his hamstring. It forced him to leave a game earlier in the season. He couldn't get that push off. Dodger fans are going crazy. Why did they take out Max Scherzer? Well, that hamstring was also barking. So I think Scherzer needs to get real from the standpoint that it is his age at some point. The father of time is undefeated, and in this case, I definitely think it took its toll in this season. Also, you have to factor in, too, in 2019, he wasn't pitching for a new contract. He wasn't pitching for a Cy Young Award. Yes, he was pitching for a World Series, but down the stretch, you saw Scherzer emptying the tank, and I think that was also a big factor. So I think at the end of the day, the Mets offered him maximum money, $130 million. I don't think the Dodgers were even close to that. In fact, I know for a fact they weren't even close to that. So at the end of the day, the Mets, they were desperate for Max Scherzer. They wanted to get their guy, especially after losing out on Trevor Bauer the previous offseason. And they said, hey, here's $130 million. I'm pretty sure they were outbidding themselves at that point, because I don't think the Dodgers had even eclipsed the $100 million mark, because I think the Dodgers saw some concerns. They understand his age, and they realize giving a 37, 38, 39-year-old pitcher $43+ million might not be the move, especially since he wasn't able to go deep into the postseason. Because, look, at some point, you're going to fall off that cliff, and do you want to be the team that has him under a big deal when that happens? And I think the Dodgers made him a respectable offer, but nothing close to what the Mets were offering him. So, like I said, when he signed the deal, that dead arm was perfectly fine when it was signing that $130 million contract. So that's what it is all about in the game. It's all about the money most of the time. But let me know down below in the comment section, who do you think is most to blame when it comes to Max Scherzer's dead arm? I think, unfortunately, age was starting to become a factor, and I think the Dodgers were always going to listen to what Max Scherzer said and wanted to do. He is the Hall of Famer. He is the guy they were trying to sign potentially, so they were going to work with Max Scherzer. I don't think the Dodgers are coming to him saying, oh, it's our way or the highway. I think they were definitely willing to work with him, and you saw his his pitch count. He was going over 100 with the Dodgers consistently if he was able to go that deep into games. So I don't buy this whole idea that the Dodgers were the reason why he suffered dead arm. I think Max Scherzer understands his body better than anyone. I just think, unfortunately, he went hard down the stretch. The Dodgers were in a pennant race. They were trying to win the division, and he just ran out of gas. And like the rest of the Dodgers pitchers who are also pitching after a 60-game season, I think that was also a factor as well. But let me know down below in the comments section. My name is D-Mac. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. For all latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to GearUp.LA. Download the new Dodgers Nation app for my Android and iPhone users. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.